John Cross. Let's look at the Sun. Marcus Rashford missing against Newport, ? Talk of crisis talks. The club say it's been dealt with internally and he's back available on Thursday. This just goes on and on.
It does. I have to say, I applaud newspaper sports editors on a night like this, because an hour ago, I think it was, that Man United put out a statement, didn't they, basically saying that Rashford has taken responsibility. So it's moved the story on again. And, you know, sports editors quickly react to that. Then they sort of move the story on to sort of say that he's available for Wolves. Yes, there were showdown talks today, but it's moved on. And you know, United are obviously hoping that puts it to bed. But does it? Does it really? I'm not completely convinced it does. I was at Newport yesterday, and obviously the party line before the game was that he was ill. But Erik ten Hag didn't play into that. And he basically said it is an internal matter. Which raised questions and left him with awkward questions to field after the game, which, you know, he didn't want to say too much about. But the very fact that he just didn't want to excuse that behaviour says a lot to me. You know, there's, you know, lots of reports saying that he'll be fined 2 weeks' wages in this. I actually admire Ten Hag for taking a bit of a stand, for saying what he thinks. Rashford's behaviour has just not been acceptable. I'm sorry, but it's ridiculous the way that, you know, some people in certain quarters try and excuse it. It's just not excusable. The more times that it's excused, you know, for things like this, you know, let's be clear, he was, you know, pictured in a nightclub. Yes, they were given some time off, but then obviously, you know, he's fallen foul of some rules. Therefore, to be fined like this, as the reports suggest. And I do think perhaps people close to him need to have a look at themselves and basically say, does he need home truths? Does he need a bit of reality check, really, to move on? He's such a talented guy. He's the nation's hero. And yet, I'm afraid to say, he has fallen foul of, you know, disciplinary rules in recent times, including this one.
And not even a hero in his...
told straight.
Sorry, John, not even a hero in his own dressing room. If you look at the story that Chris Wheeler's written on the back page of the Mail, the headline is Rash Backlash, and in that story it says that sources say senior players are unhappy with Rashford. David, you wouldn't be surprised, would you?
No, I mean, he wasn't able to train. They cited illness, but there was discrepancy at Manchester United over when he had actually been out. The initial suggestion was that it was on the evening ahead of their day off, but we reported in The Athletic that it was actually on the evening that he was due to sort of come back and train the next day. So I'm not sure if the illness suggestion has washed with all of the teammates and people around United now, and it's led to this meeting today that has produced the statement. And it's a pretty concerning state of affairs straight off the back of the Jadon Sancho case. And it wasn't so long ago that Manchester United had disciplinary issues over Cristiano Ronaldo. So Ten Hag clearly takes quite a hardline stance, but already I'm seeing people compare how Ronaldo was made to miss a match, but we're expecting Rashford to be back in contention for selection against Wolves on Thursday. And yeah, I mean, we must caveat it with, I don't know if there's a problem here and exactly what's going on with Marcus Rashford, because you know, there seem to be a number of incidents now, and some of the stories that the front page of the Sun tomorrow is talking about a sort of tequila binge. And when you hear things like that, there's a sort of human and a responsibility side of all of this as well, and his welfare, and maybe Manchester United are conscious of that. But certainly on the Chris Wheeler story, it's pointing out the teammates are not particularly happy, because the FA Cup is Manchester United's only realistic chance of silverware left this season, and he was forced to miss that match. So let's see what happens now, if it's a fine or something more severe. But the situation needs to be sorted out for club and country. It is not pretty at all.
Obviously, I mean, John called him a hero based on what he did in the COVID era. I just want to show you something that Henry Winter has written in the Times today. Marcus Rashford owes it to Man United to make the most of his gifts. David.
Well, he's just been given also a massive new contract, and that a lot of people are starting to raise eyebrows about. But just as a player, I mean, we know he's an absolutely brilliant talent, and we've seen that. He was outstanding last season for the most part, and recorded 30-odd goals in a very difficult time. I think his position was moved slightly this season, which wasn't ideal for him with the arrival of Rasmus Højlund. And it's been sort of a better time for him at international level than club this season. I remember being at the World Cup. John was there as well just over a year ago. I thought he was England's most dangerous player in the group stage, but he didn't really seem to get the minutes that perhaps he deserved, and even in the knockout stage too. And so, the football side of it is one thing, and we know there is such a player there, but from a sort of holistic perspective of the on and off field package, the responsibility, the expectation on him is slightly different, whether he likes it or not, because he's sort of born and raised Manchester United. He's the homegrown kid that is being looked up to by so many, and he's done great work off the field with free school meals, etc. But now he's hit a tricky period, and clearly, as well as criticism that I'm sure will come his way, that there probably needs to be some support for him as well from the perspective of his lifestyle and what's going on. So yeah, very complicated state of affairs right now, and it's not something that United, his employers, or England will be looking at too well. I mean, this is a player also who's been looked at very favourably by clubs on the continent in the past about a potential move, and I think he'll be looking, or his surrounds and entourage will be looking for a bit of calm now to try and get this career back on track.
Yeah, it is complicated. It is nuanced and impossible for us on the outside to know what's going on inside that club.